Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's Delilah Season 1, Episode 4, entitled Andre. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the mini marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. An employee speaks with Nate about how he should be excited because today he saw on the schedule it's the day that he's discharged. And he's telling him, while you're gone, we're going to give this room a good deep cleaning, just like new when you first came. I know you got to be excited about going home. I mean, you've been here about 6 months? And I know you're excited to see that new house. Nate says, yeah, well, I'm going home, but it's only temporary, just so we can find out what home accommodations I'll need for my new life. Delilah arrives, and Nate is just like, well, our discharge meeting isn't today. Delilah says, I know when the meeting is. And Nate says, you know what, Jack, can you give us some privacy? And Jack says, yeah, of course. Delilah says, I can't believe you sent Dad to come and get Dion. You scared him half to death. I mean, this entire time, I thought Christine was the bad guy. But y'all are quick to send that boy back and forth. I mean, that's not okay. And you know what, Nate? Next time you have an issue with me, be a man and address it yourself. Don't send an attack dog. I'm still upset. Nate apologizes and says, I'm sorry. I was upset as well. Delilah says, okay, look, I came here to talk to you, and actually I need some help. After the accident, did they give you a ground accident report explaining what happened? And Nate is like, yeah, I mean, I actually contributed to it. I don't remember much about what happened. All I remember is I was riding along, and then the next thing I knew, I woke up in a hospital bed. I have it here. I haven't opened it. What do you need it for? And Delilah explains that she needs to read all of the details. Nate tells her, have at it, read as much as you want. I gotta leave the room because I'm just getting to a point where I could sleep all night. So I don't want anything reminding me of that moment. I'll go get some coffee. Delilah says, this puzzle, Niagara Falls, what's that all about? And he says it's a Christine thing and he doesn't want to talk about it. He leaves the room and she reviews the file and sees other box checked as well as equipment malfunction, just like the files Demetria brought over. And also she sees that the person who signed all of the documents is a Sergeant Rick Pettingale. Delilah updates Dimitri and Harper about the documents and how they read of 2 different reports of what happened. One has detailed descriptions of an ambush and the other is categorized as an equipment malfunction on the same date, all signed by the same person. Jamal calls Delilah to see if she wants to go to a basketball game because he has courtside seats to see the Hornets. And he hears from Casey that she's a big fan. Unfortunately, she's too busy and says that she can't go. And he says, well, that's no problem. You told me from the jump you're a very busy person, so there's no need to apologize. She says, you know what? Maybe we can just postpone this a few days. Maybe Friday we can reconnect? Dinner? He's like, yeah, that'll work out. Dinner, Friday night. Casey calls Tam and wants to know if she can give the exact time of when she'll be home. She says, about 5:30. He's like, no, I need to know. Is it a firm 5 or is it a firm 5:30? She says, I can make it 5. I can make it 5 o'clock. And he says, okay, make sure that you're home at that time. And it's very evident that Tam knows that he has a surprise up his sleeve. Demetria and Harper have found some documents signed by the same person in question, and he was honorably discharged from the military and then disappeared about a month ago. So they put Mace on to investigate. Delilah wants to know how they came across these documents, and Harper explains that she called over 100 people, but only 6 people said that they would send over their copies. And they noticed that when he does these reports, he's kind of lazy. He's doing them all the same verbiage, and everything is repetitive on each document. Demetria is very anxious with this information, and she wants to know, when are we going to send Fred Osborne the depot notice? But Delilah wants to wait until she shows the information to Tam. She figures if Tam knows about Nate and that he's involved, then maybe she'll get on board and do the right thing. She wants to give her a chance, but by the look on Demetria's face, she doesn't think that's a good idea. Demetria asks Harpo, so is this how she lost her last case? By giving everyone a chance? Demetria stops by Tam's place, and Casey seems already occupied by something, but he says, hey, come on in. Delilah walks in, and Tam says, OMG, I'm so glad you're here. I was just hoping you were okay from feeling however you were feeling last week, because I needed you, girl. Look. And she shows her finger, and it's an engagement ring. And Delilah says, congrats. And Tam says, D, will you be my maid of honor? And Delilah says, girl, yeah, of course. But now the tone has changed, because originally Delilah came over to talk about the files in the first place. Tam says, okay, did Casey tell you to come by? She's like, no, he didn't. Honestly, it can wait. And Tam's like, no, you came over here for a reason. And if you want to tell me now, it's just as important. So what's going on? And Delilah says, no, you know what? This is a very important, beautiful night for you guys, and I don't want to ruin it. So just celebrate and have fun, and we'll talk about this another time. Tam says, okay, we're going back and forth with this. Just say it. Come on, just say it. And Delilah informs her about the documents that she's found. Tam says, you know what? Come on. What's the probability that this is related? Highly slim. Come on. Delilah says, no. When the C-15 is the most common used radio in the Army, it's highly likely. And Tam is just like, so you're convinced that these radios are just blowing up things? Delilah says, Gary Shea thought that, and the accident reports are completely different from the ones that they sent out. Every single one. Just read them. Tam says, okay, I'll read them. And if what you're saying is true, I'll say that we just need to drop this case with Fred. I'll look at the documents tonight. Then she looks back at Casey and says, you know what? I'll look at these in the morning instead. Later on that night, Delilah's daughter wants to know, do I have to go to my dad's tomorrow? Because I have class with Miss B, and I don't want to practice at his place because his neighbors complain. Delilah says, it's fine with me, but make sure that you go over everything with your dad first. And Dion says, well, you're divorced, right? She's like, yeah. And he wants to know, are my mom and dad divorced? And she says, well, why would you ask a thing like that? And he says, well, they don't live at the same house. And my friend at school says that everybody eventually gets a divorce. And she says, well, you don't need to listen to your little friend, okay? Now just go ahead and get ready for bed. Tam calls Delilah and says, I read the report and I just wanted to cry. And what they did to Nate? And two, I can see the documents don't match. I need to go to Osborne and ask Fred point blank about these radios before I tell Wynn Jr. and drop Fred Osborne to walk away from such a hot client. This is a big deal. I need to see the things myself. And Delilah says, so you read the reports and you're saying that you read them, right? You read everything. And Tam is just like, yeah, I did. Just hold off on that depot notice to Fred until I can speak with him directly. And if he feels threatened, you got to remember he won't talk. Delilah says, sure. And then afterwards, the depot, it's going out. Tam says, understood. Also tell Nate I said hi. Delilah says, well, how do you know where I am? And Tam confirms that I always find my friends. What are you doing there? Are you talking to him about the case? She says, no, we have this planning discharge meeting that we need to go to. She just says, well, just let him know that I'm praying for him, and I'll call you after I speak with Fred. Nate and his dad talk, and his dad wants to know this new construction on the home. How are you going to pay for that? And Nate says that vets have, loans and ADA grants. And the dad says, well, how long do you think that's going to take? Just take the money. Delilah walks up behind them on the end part of their conversation and says, take the money for what? And he says the remodeling on the home that needs to take place before he moves in. And Delilah wants to know, so where's Christine? And they says, Delilah, okay, I'll give her a call. Then Delilah and her dad have a side note conversation. And she says, oh, so Frances is okay with you paying for the remodeling on the home? And he says, yeah, I mean, she's not who you think she is, okay? In fact, it was her idea. Nate then says, after the call, Christine thought that the discharge day meeting was tomorrow. And you know what, Delilah, I don't want to hear anything from you at this point, okay? The dad says to Delilah, look, we don't know what's going on with them in their relationship. Just remember, we're here to support Nate. Delilah says to her dad, you know, I would really appreciate it if you stop trying to conduct everything like you're some wise patriarch. And he says, you know what? I was just going to say I'm very grateful that you're here. Delilah then gets a call and takes it out in the hallway. And it's Leah. And she says that she just got a letter from Osborne Legal Department saying that if she doesn't bring in her laptop and phone immediately, that she's going to be charged with theft. She says, well, this is my phone. This is my laptop. I mean, they can't do that, right? And Delilah confirms that it's their files that are on those hard drives. You know what? Bring them by the office so Harper can clone them and then you can hand them over if that makes you feel better. I mean, I personally just think they're bluffing. Leah says, well, okay, I will. Delilah says, is there a problem? Is everything okay? She's like, yeah, everything's fine. I can do it. And Delilah insists, is there something that you're not telling me? Because there is. She's like, no, I can do it. I can bring it over. Delilah says, okay, great. I'll talk to you later. The employee explains to the family that the ADA is an assessment just to see what the home needs to have those accommodations when it comes to construction. And that's all what's happening. And just for everybody to just try to communicate and make it as less stressful as possible. Is 4:00 okay with everyone? Delilah and her dad both check their schedules to make sure that they can accommodate 4 p.m. But Nate says, you know what? You don't have to come. And I don't want you to come with any of that negativity. And Delilah says, well, what makes you think that I would do that? And he says, well, this whole entire meeting, you've been negative. She's like, what are you talking about? I've just been sitting here listening. I haven't said a word. He says, no, you haven't said a word, but this whole time, anytime I mention Christine's name, you cross your arms and you have this look on your face. Christine is not perfect, okay? She's made mistakes. Delilah's like, yeah, mistakes are maybe 1 or 2, maybe even 3 times. But 10 times in a row, Nate, and the worker says, you know what? But believe it or not, between families, this is quite normal. Delilah says, you know what? I just want to confirm that I can make it at 4. I can make that work, and I'll make sure to monitor my looks. Nate says, Dad, can I speak to you alone? And Delilah, this is about the money, not you. Tam speaks with Fred, letting him know that she has a tip from the opposing counsel, evidence showing altered documents when it comes to accident reports. And is there any active cover-up that he knows about? And Fred says, you know what? I don't know what the U.S. Army does. And she can use the money I'm trying to give her to get a lawyer so she can sue the Army. Until then, what I know is the C-15 is used so U.S. soldiers can talk to one another. Tam says, so if this case goes to court, I can put you on the stand and you would testify to that under oath. And instead of answering the question, he calls to his receptionist to confirm if a Raquel Williams is in the office. After the receptionist confirms her presence, he tells her to have her meet them in the warehouse. And he says, you know what? This person was Gary's boss before he died. And she should be able to explain how this device works and what it can do, and what it can't do. And after that, we'll never have to discuss this again. And Tam said, you know, we probably will have to talk about it again. Fred says that he's a Christian and his yes means yes and his no means no. And being under oath is not any different from day-to-day life because he's always under oath. Raquel introduces herself to Tam, and she extends her hand for a handshake and says, "It's nice to meet you. Fred said that you needed a crash course in objective reality." This, what I'm showing you, is GTAMS, remotely designated ground-air missiles made by Wellington, the same ones Gary Shea thought could be designated if in the range of a C-15. And this is an Osborne C-15, a frequency hopper radio. When you turn it on, cycling preset sequences start to jam anyone from listening every 30 seconds. To listen in, you would need to know all of the digit sequences. I'll set a timer for 30 seconds and then turn on the C-15. And Tam says, "So this is on? I mean, this is live ammunition?" She says, "Yes." Know why I'm not worried? Because to designate a Wellington D-10, you would have to know the 3-digit code in 3 different sequences. The Osborne C-15 does not require the coding to designate the sequence, to designate these G-10s. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And nothing happens. And Fred looks to Tam and asks, "Satisfied?" When Junior is on a call and he's saying, yeah, Fred, you don't have to tell me twice. I mean, whatever they got left, I hear you loud and clear. Oh, wait, she just walked in. Yeah. The assistant says, "When I tried to stop her from coming in, but she doesn't listen." He says, "No, that's okay. Excuse us. Give us a minute." "Tam, why were you even down there?" Tamara says, I needed to know for a fact that these radios that he makes are harmless. I mean, they did this demonstration with this show pony to convince me, but turns out Gary's concerns were so sane that they did testing on missiles to prove him wrong. And Wynn says, "And they did prove him wrong." She says, "You know what? It's not the first time I'm hearing about these tests. I need to call HR. I need to talk to Wellington. It's my job to prove this wasn't why Leah was fired. But, it's starting to look like that to me, that it was." Wynn says, "You're saying that they gave you this live demonstration. I mean, he said that they're live explosives." And Tam says, "She said it was. He said it was. How do I know that?" Wynn says, "This friend of yours is telling the truth, right? But didn't you tell me that this girl Leah is like a liar and a hot mess?" I mean, you're taking the side of someone who lies all the time instead of somebody who might not be lying. And Tam says, "You know what? I think they're both liars. And you know what? Leah's not my friend. And of course, I have to win this case." And Wynn says, "Do you want me to replace you? I mean, we could get Lacey on this case just like you said a long time ago. Is that what you want?" Tam says, "No. And these flowers, who sent them?" He's like, "Oh, they're from me. Jane Ann just told me you got engaged, so she thought it would be remiss of us if we didn't congratulate you. I just haven't gotten around to delivering them yet. If you get married and make partner in the same year, I mean, I'm just saying from the point of an old man, like to me, that's a pretty good year." Tam says, "Oh, yeah. Sure it would be." Wynn says, "I want you to send Fred an email thanking him for understanding it now, for getting it, that what he's saying is the truth." Tam says, "Fine." And Wynn walks out of the room in disregard, calling out to Jane Ann to make another call. Demetria wants to know if Harper has drafted the depot doc yet, but Harper says, "I'll do it when Miss Connolly gives me the green light to do it." Demetria notices her last name on her desk plate. Says it's very interesting. And Harper says, "I'm working on the MD files like you asked, so if you don't mind." She says, "That last name is Nigerian, right?" Harper says, "Yeah." She says, my father's people are from West Virginia, but before that, Sierra Leone. And my mom's people from Cuba, by the way of Cameroon. We're all African. Harper's like, well, we all aren't from Charlotte. Demetria says, you know what? Your last name, it means helper, right? Then Delilah walks in, and Demetria wants to know when can they send that depot to Fred Osborne because he could possibly lead them to Rick. And because Mace says that he has no information and can't find any follow-up on the person that's so-called signing on these documents. But Delilah says, I need 2 minutes. Tam calls Delilah and says, look, I haven't called you back because I didn't know what to say. I mean, Fred had this tech ninja school me on these radios. And that whole situation, that's a whole nother topic, and I'll explain that to you later. But D, the Army might be doing something, so let's go after them together. But, this case is about why Leah got fired. Delilah says, you read the reports, right? I mean, they're covering something up. You know it. But out of frustration, Delilah just hangs up. And Dee calls in Demetria and says, that depot? Serve it. And Demetria says, yes, ma'am. Delilah's daughter continues her violin lessons with Miss B, and Miss B tells her over and over again to start over. Don't play it like that. Play it slowly, or play this part with just more emotion. And she says, you know what? Just stop. And she can't understand why she's telling her to start over and over again because there isn't anything wrong with any of the notes. And Mrs. B explains that there has to be an emotional connection. If she doesn't connect with the song and the message that the song is trying to display, it will make her no different from everybody else. The employee from the VA Center continues to go over the necessary things that are needed for accommodations when it comes to remodeling. She says that they need a ramp at the front entrance, a grab bar, and a shower seat in the restroom. And the rear bedroom, it needs a new entryway completely. Or you can just take the door off the hinges altogether. And Nate is fine with doing that in the meantime. And Christine says, you know what? Whatever works. And Delilah makes a very side-eye smirk to her, but turns around just to make sure she doesn't show her frustration. And then the employer says, also, what about the stairs? Everything has to be done so you can function. And Nate says to Christine, would you be okay with putting a chairlift on the stairs? Christine? And Christine snaps and says, whatever, just do it. Or whatever we need. I can't do this. And everyone notices her dismissive behavior. She's like, well, I guess I'm just upset about how much everything's gonna cost. Delilah and her dad have a talk outside, and he says, look, they'll work it out. I think her just seeing Nate in his state like that just hit her. And Delilah says, has she mentioned Andre yet? And her dad says, those two are trying to pull everything together and make it right now. And who is Andre? Delilah says, Andre is the truth to everything that's going on. Sorry, but I gotta go. Tam is at home staring at her phone in deep thought until she finally leans over and makes the decision to make a call. It rings and rings, and she finally says, hey, Leah, it's Tam. Call me back, okay? Please? Later on that evening, Delilah tries to pick out an outfit for her date, and she needs Dion and Marcus to kind of give their opinions. They're saying, no, don't like that one. Don't like that one either. She says, yeah, I do need to get some more clothes. She assures that, I'll just try to pick something nice. And Marcus says, it's not a big deal, Dion, because Mom says she's never getting married again. She says, well, yeah, if I said that, then, that's what it is. She then gets a call, and it's from Harper. Delilah says, did Leah drop off the laptop and phone? Harper says, well, no. Did you want me to go pick it up? She says, no, that's okay. I'll just do it in the morning. Do we still have that external hard drive? Harper says, yeah. She's like, can you also print out Leah's double outline? My printer at home got damaged by some little person. And she looks at Dion. She says, I would love to go ahead and give her that in the morning too. But there's no response. And Delilah says, is everything okay? Harper's like, yeah, it's Demetria. I mean, she's always just up in my business asking all these questions. I mean, I'm not asking her why she's weird. Delilah says, I'll just talk to her. I promise, okay? Have a good weekend and I'll just see you on Monday. And the kids say, you know what? I like that. Why don't you wear what you have on? And Delilah agrees. Later, we see a scene where Demetria, she's at home, and it looks like she's struggling. She fixes rice and beans, and her home looks very small, and she's looking at an empty plate and an empty chair across from her. And we see her in deep thought, holding back tears. Delilah, late on that night, meets with her dinner date, Jamal, and apologizes for being so late. He says it's okay and insists that they take a walk just to talk because unfortunately they've lost their table. And he says, don't worry, I got food to go. Delilah says, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, that's okay. That whole sitting at the table across from each other on the first date, not knowing what to say is so overrated. He tells her that he's from Santo Domingo, then New York, then DC, and now Charlotte. And he met Casey because his mom worked a lot. And if it was for an extended period of time, he would just be with the neighbor lady, which is actually Casey's aunt. And Casey was only a few years older than him, but she watched both of them. And they would even watch Fresh Prince, where he learned how to speak English. Delilah also explains how she met Tam in middle school, all but because of an unfortunate school play. And they've been friends ever since. Before they try to lean in for a kiss, she gets a call, and it's Leah. And she says, I just needed to call you because my apartment, it looks like it's been broken into. And also, I think the person is still in the apartment. And Delilah says, just get out of there. Get out of there. I'll stay on the phone with you until you get out. And then we hear a struggle. And that is the end of the episode. All right, it's review time. Now, seeing Demetria's situation, will Osborne take this up as an opportunity to give her some money? Because they investigate everybody. And maybe they can get to her. And if they get to her and get them on their side, that's more ammunition. Because, Demetria, she's on it with the sharpness and information. I just got a hunch that the Osborne company is going to reach out to Demetria and tell her, hey, you're not making this amount of money. How about we give you a nice little cushion, a nice little bag to let us know what's going on, or how about we just give you something just to go away completely? Highly likely, kind of getting at it would seem like a good episode or a good season twist. You know what I mean? Harper, does she have a fake life? Does she have a fake name? Is it a cover-up? Because if you remember in the other episode, Delilah was helping her about a case because she's asked her, hey, does Demetria know that case was about you? When she was telling her about the template, remember? So is Delilah protecting Harper? Because Harper, she's getting kind of irritated that Demetria is asking her all these questions. Yes, it's annoying when people are trying to be nosy, but Demetria, she's on it. She wants to know who she's working with. She wants to know what's going on. There's a little bit more interest in investigation when it comes to Demetria looking at other people, but not the other way around. If you have this lawyer, if you have this law practice, how much do you know about Demetria? Do you think she even graduated from school? Do you think that she doesn't have any family? What do you know about Demetria besides this person that gave you this story? She could be a very swift con artist, not to be bad, but just to get her foot in the door when it comes to a lot of stuff. Does she have the gift of the gab and she's just this genius as well? Gotta keep a good eye on her. So I'm really kind of getting some vibes like, The turning point may be Harper or Demetria. Not even anything dealing with the case, but it's going to be a pivot turn. And I got a hunch. Casey and Jamal are up to something. I just can't wrap my head around what it is exactly. I said a couple of episodes ago, are they escorts? Do they work for the state? Do they do slimy stuff here and there? Ever since Casey gave that story about how they conned their way into a building that was closed and they even had a fake badge or a fake card to get in, that's a red flag. And Jamal, it seems like this very cool person, and oh no, that's okay. I honestly think that someone has put him as bait to pull Delilah in and get super close to this guy for a reason. And I know that that's coming up soon. I just don't know when. Just let me know if you agree about that. Also, this series, unfortunately, I feel has too many characters that are unnecessary. The kids, I hate to sound, mean, but we don't even need the kids in this story. I mean, I know they're trying to have a character that's married, divorced, and they got kids. We don't need the kids in this case because their whole backstories and stuff they're going through, I really don't care. I don't care about her daughter's violin lessons. I don't care unless it has to correlate with something that's going on with something shiesty. It's like Miss B, is she hauling cocaine or in violins or something? If she's not, and it's not this amazing story, I really don't care. I don't care about, it would be cool if they limited the amount of kids to just one, right? Just her nephew, which would make sense. Just her brother, going through the situation with his wife and the army and the injury and all this other stuff. And he has a son and she's there stepping in as the aunt. That makes more sense. And she's newly divorced. We don't need to know everything about the kids and, violin practice and, oh my God, I have a concert on Friday. I don't care. Can we get to the case? It's just really, really annoying. And I'm just like, okay, why? Also, the main character is a lawyer, but I have yet to see a courtroom. We are seeing these same maybe 4 or 5 sets over and over again. We're seeing the same restaurant. We're seeing the same office. We're seeing the same. The only new set that we saw today was actually Fred Osborne's office and the warehouse. And that was about it. They show these scenes of just people driving and maybe the street, maybe the highway. But it just gives me this very theatrical, boxed in feeling when I'm watching this. And I think How to Get Away with Murder has kind of spoiled me because, they're quick witted. They're talking about the cases. It's going extremely fast. This. Everything feeds and bleeds into each other into the next episode. And I need to stop doing that because that's a totally different network, totally different budget, totally different set of actors. You know what I mean? But with this show, it just seems sometimes it's okay, it seems like I'm being dragged along. And the only crescendo of each episode is at the end. It's come on, are you serious? And you just leave this cliffhanger at the end and I have to wait another week. I could just feel like I have all of this already figured out. I felt like I had the entire season guesstimated in episode 2, where I kind of just was oh, I think I know what's going to happen with this. And then, and then Gary's going to be dead. Oh, and then they might kick Leah, might be. And it was just so predictable, and I'm just sitting here come on. I said in the last review that I'm still reviewing this only because I just want to see how they're going to blossom the mystery. I just hope that it doesn't begin to blossom in crescendo at the end of the season because that would be whack. And it really wouldn't convince me to be pulled into another season. You got to give me more, and we got to get rid of all of these unnecessary characters that are going around. It's just too many of them. It's too many people. Why do we have so many people on this? It's just a lot. Just minimize everything, kind of squish everybody in, let us know about this core group of people, and then I'll be happy. If we need to go ahead and get rid of some characters because of some unfortunate situations, cool. But can we just get it down to just narrow it down 5 or 6 people? That's really all that we need. It seems very like I'm watching a play or something like that, but I mean, hey, every show is different, but it's not really intriguing me. It's not intriguing me as a show where I'm just sitting here oh, what they did, what, and this person, what, when the last scene when Leah was saying, oh, I think somebody broke into my apartment, and oh my God, I think they're still here, I wasn't shocked. I was just okay, Yeah, it was just like, it wasn't anything suspenseful. I have more of a crescendo and excitement watching Matlock than this show. I just hope it speeds up. Can it speed up? Like just a little bit. Can it just hurry up? Like, I just feel like it's just so slow, and I feel like this is more like 3 hours instead of just an hour. And then on top of the commercials, it feels like it's 5 hours. It's like, this just drives me crazy. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any posts, and also follow me on Instagram so you don't miss the sneak peeks about what's coming up next. Just let me know what your thoughts are. My critiques are just, can we speed this up? I mean, we're almost mid-season here. Can we speed it up? Can we narrow down some shock value about what's going on? More people are involved, and oh my goodness, this involves Nate. And Nate just so happened to have such important documents. Just, oh yeah, I know where they are. You know, oh yeah. I've never opened it. I mean, I can't walk anymore. I just never read it. It's just been in here, and I'm just gonna trust everything in it. I mean, I gave my input, and that was about it. Mace, where he at? I know he was kind of doing some investigation about Rick. It's just so obvious. It's like ABC 1, 2, 3. Clearly, this is either a false person, right, that quote unquote signed these documents, which is probably just a stamp signature, okay, and all they're doing is just copying these files and mailing them out. And you have all of these people that have had these accident reports, right? And I mean, what is this, $1 billion corporation? Is Osborne $1 billion corporation? They're paying off all these people to be quiet. It's like, come on. It's just like, in my mind, I'm getting frustrated, because I'm just like, okay, is that the best that you have? Like, that you've called all these people and this happened, and maybe you got one investigative person, and you haven't heard from him, and he's not present in this episode. Just a little annoying, just a little bit. Let me know what you think and leave your comments below. Also, remember to watch Queen Sugar and other shows. We got The Handmaid's Tale coming up. And remember, guys, friendly reminder that Delilah will not be on next Friday. The next episode will be April 6th. Okay? Remember that. April 6th, that episode of Delilah will be on. Okay? So, not next week, but the week after that. April 6th, look forward to that recap and that review. I have no idea why the next episode is April 6th. I have no idea why. Maybe it's another show. Maybe it's other things going on with the schedule, and they want to, I don't know. But I just saw it at the end of the episode. I'm like, April 6th? Why? And this is the season finale. I don't know what's going on. Until then, stay posted. Take care of yourself and others. I love you guys. Bye. Oh, and also make sure tomorrow, Friday, that you watch part 2 of the reunion special of Bell Collective. If you haven't watched Bell Collective, it's okay. Check it in the playlist and binge watch. All right. Until next time. Okay, bye.